Hello everybody and welcome to the Tube's Weekend Edition, where we take a second look at the stories that made our week. Let's do it! With me in the studio are the Tube's team, our editor-in-chief Yaron Tinbrink and our journalist Shai Ringel. How was your week, boys?
Boring, I have to say. Yaron disagrees with me, but as far as tech news goes, we had a very boring week.
This guy is completely insane. It was such an amazing week. We had so many stories, we're going to talk about it, that were on borderline science fiction. And when reality and science fiction start to mix, I'm happy.
The Tube's team is happy. Okay, so let's start. In the past 2 days, we talked obsessively about the Verizon-AOL deal, bringing one of the former internet giants under the wings of the USA's largest web and mobile carrier for a sum of $4.4 billion. Before we get down to the wider implications of this purchase, let's sail down memory lane and remember the time when AOL was the internet and the internet was AOL.
Can you believe what's possible these days? Email with color and pictures. Your own personalized newspaper. Instant stock quotes. The entire internet, one click away.
Okay, Yaron, telecom companies are huge and control the infrastructure of the web and mobile. Isn't it dangerous if they start buying content?
It's very dangerous when they buy anything. I mean, in America, they're talking about the merger between Comcast and Warner for a very long time now. That's another danger. Telecom, you have to understand that telecom companies are so big. They're huge. They really, like, without them, there is no internet, there is no mobile. They basically control the whole thing. They're in the heart of the net neutrality war. So yeah, the simple answer is yes, it's very dangerous.
Why though? I don't understand yet.
Because basically they can dictate rules of how things are done on the web.
For example?
That's what they're trying. For example, net neutrality. I mean, their push to kill net neutrality is based on the fact that they want to make more money. Mm-hmm. Now, if they have something like AOL where they control ad technology and video technology, and they can decide what goes fast and what doesn't go fast, they can decide, like when the Huffington Post and TechCrunch and Engadget, websites like that, will not write against killing net neutrality anymore. Any step they make to make themselves bigger is potentially dangerous, and I think the regulators in the States will take a good hard look at this deal, and I'm not sure it will go through.
Shai, do you think he's paranoid?
No, I just want to clarify something Yaron said earlier. The merger between Time Warner and Comcast will not happen because of the regulators in the States, because it was such a mess to try and bring those two companies together. They gave up on this deal, and this showed that the regulator in the US still has some power over those companies, so there is a chance that this deal won't be finalized at the end, because AOL is still it's not a huge company as it was, but 20 million people in the States are using AOL to connect to the internet via dial-up. They are very old, and they don't understand that there are better ways to connect to the internet. But AOL is also a communication company, not just content company. But the interesting thing is that even AOL, that has those 20 million people connecting, and even Verizon, that has a lot more people connecting to the internet and infrastructure, and they have grids all over the States, they are still looking for content, because for them content is king. You won't. If it was 2007, just before they introduced the iPhone, nobody would say Verizon needs any content. And now the infrastructure itself is is not enough. Verizon is an old company, and buying AOL shows how old they became and how they need even the smallest. And AOL is a content company, but not that big content company. So buying AOL is just their they found something they can buy that has some content, and they'll bring it to them. And
let's talk numbers for a minute, because when AOL merged with Warner Brothers 14 years ago, they were worth $160 billion. Now it was sold for $4.4 billion. What went on there?
A lot of things. First of all, part of that value was Warner Brothers. That's very valuable, but time happened. We saw this commercial from 1996. Back then, the internet was AOL. Okay, almost everybody in the States who would connect to the web was connected via AOL. And times change and technology changes, and AOL grew smaller and smaller. Now they're becoming very big in the video ads realm, but still it's relatively not a big company anymore.
So it's
and not that important.
Less.
Yeah,
okay,
AOL was also the company that made money in the age of the internet when nobody made money, and now they are worthless, almost worthless.
Worth less, not worthless.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. Many startups are trying to convert cities to smart cities, but nothing is even close to what Saudi Arabia is currently doing. The Gulf country is building a $100 billion smart city from the ground, and now it's trying to court Silicon Valley's big names to open shop in this new mecca of tech, about to become the most advanced industrial zone in the world. If you want to live there, you should hurry, since houses and villas in the new city are already selling like crazy. Check out their promotional video for future residents.
In the heart of the coastal communities in King Abdullah Economic City, Al Tala Gardens district is spread over 3,700,000 square meters. More than 4,000 villas are provided over few phases. In common, all phases offer generous open spaces and integrated services. Step out onto nature. Al Tala Gardens offers a beautifully landscaped environment.
Okay, I have many questions on this one. Let's start with, can Saudi Arabia really become the Silicon Valley of the Middle East, Chai?
Yes and no. They can become some kind of Silicon Valley. They won't become the Silicon Valley. They can open a lot of headquarters of different companies if they'll give them enough tax refunds, and they'll court them to their cities. But Saudi Arabia has a lot to do before they'll become a real environment where startups are not only coming to get developers, but also innovates and bring a lot of new technology out of it, which we can see in Silicon Valley. Trying to build a new Silicon Valley is something that a lot of countries want to do. Saudi Arabia are really putting a lot of money trying to do so, and they can, they have the money and they have the infrastructure to do so.
So what are they basically offering? I don't think I actually got it all the way.
Listen, they already built the biggest port in the Middle East, the biggest seaport over there, and around it they're actually building a whole city. Part of the city, interestingly enough, is a university city, like an education city, where they want to bring young people from Saudi Arabia and the region to study technology and promote innovation. So I think that's a very smart move. And the smartest move that they're doing is that apparently the city will be autonomous, which means the laws of Saudi Arabia won't apply to it, which means people from the West can come and live there and have the same kind of lifestyle, or almost the same kind of lifestyle. Women can drive, and this is kind of like creating a sort of an autonomy that is focused completely on technology, where they already have a huge harbor and they already have a huge industrial zone. This is very promising, and the amount of money they're putting into it is also very promising. And the reason we discuss it is that now they are really strongly courting American companies to come over. If that happens, anything can happen.
Wow, well, that sounds super interesting. I hope that it won't take years and years before we can actually see.
It's supposed to be finished by 2020, so it's like we're almost there.
We're almost there. Lovely time. I like the fact that you just passed by. Okay, this week we talked about products that look like they were taken directly from science fiction. We talked about the Skype translator finally being released, about Google announcing that its cars are so safe they almost never made a mistake in the 1,000,000 miles it's been driving so far, about Bill Nye's solar-powered space explorer, and of course Genie, now on screen. Well, before on screen, the Israeli startup about to go Star Trek on the very idea of cooking. Let's take another look at the amazing Skype translator before we try to figure out if we already live in the future.
Hi, Alejandra.
Hola Alejandra.
Hola, Deborah.
Hello Deborah.
How are you?
¿Cómo estás?
One of the challenges of being in the role that I'm in is that we do need to communicate to our field offices. I'm not a fluent Spanish speaker, so being able to talk with Alejandra using translator has been really terrific because we've been making real plans, we've been doing real work, but we've also been building a relationship. So we have to plan our trip.
Entonces tenemos que planear nuestra visita.
I'm really looking forward to coming.
Realmente estoy con ansias de venir.
So tell me something about the clients you've selected.
Cuéntame algo.
Shai, has science fiction become our inspiration for innovation?
It's always have been. You know, you can think about Star Trek, and Star Trek was the first series that introduced the self-opening doors. You would walk into a door and it will open. And 20 years after we first saw it on Star Trek, it became a normality in our own lives. When you think about it, the Star Trek doors still had that sound, that whoosh sound, that normal opening doors did not have already.
That's a shame.
Yeah. It was recorded with skates. Yeah. Science fiction is always will always inspire our own technology. What's interesting about the stuff we talked about this week is that it's taking it a step further. The Genie, that little Genie, the machine that can cook your food, can revolutionize the kitchen for real. Like, if it will take only a minute for me to cook my meal, and if it will cost less than it costs to buy, the different ingredients, and if it will, serve one person per dish, it's going to revolutionize the kitchen. That company is taking a small idea from Star Trek itself and taking it to the next step, thinking how it can be more productive and how it's very green and so forth and so on.
If it's eatable.
Yeah.
We're gonna wait and see.
Yeah.
Yaron, all this amazing technology coming towards us in such a rapid pace, isn't it just a teeny bit too much?
Yeah, I think for most people, of course it is. I mean, even for us, it's hard to cope with the amount of innovation we meet every week. I think a lot of those products are ahead of their time, ahead of the population.
Because we meet them in the show, not in our day-to-day life.
Yeah. I mean, Skype Translator, it's an amazing concept. Bill Nye's solar-powered space vehicle. It's also an amazing idea, and the Google car is amazing, and it's all like it drops your jaw.
The Skype Translator is available. If you have a Windows operating system, you can download it.
But the question is not if it's available. The question is whether you're going to use it and when exactly, and how awkward would it be for you to use it with someone who speaks a different language than you. And I mean, it's all about the public's ability to kind of absorb all this technology and actually use it, because the fact that it's out there is not enough.
It isn't.
Nope.
We have time for one short video, so let's talk about, if we talk about science fiction, so our viral video of the week in which a YouTuber named Son of Spork made a trailer for the movie that will finally bring two mega geeky franchises together because pissing off shy or geeks is fun.
Trapped in another galaxy, far, far away, Captain James T. Kirk and the crew of the famous Starship Enterprise are left to the mercy of an evil galactic empire and caught in the middle of an interstellar war. And now the 23rd century has become the target of a Dark Lord's ultimate weapon.
We're talking about universal Armageddon.
Legends will unite. And galaxies will clash as your imagination embarks upon a fantastic flight into fantasy film.
Okay, that's a lovely trailer. Shai, you can stop laughing. Thank you very much, Shai. Thank you very much, Yaron.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you, lovely audience, for being with us. We'll be back on Monday with a brand new show of The Tube. You can watch this show on the reruns throughout the weekend. Please log on to our Twitter and our Tumblr. It's TheTube24. And always remember, learn to listen. Opportunity could be knocking on your door very softly.